What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing again this evening? Once again, I'm late, so I guess that means I'm right on time. We'll make this another short one, but Mitch has got another interview out. Mitch Snow, the Mr. Fort Huachuca, and I wanted to play this thing. It's on Rumble. I just don't ever see anything. Which Stu Peters is the one that interviewed him. He's not allowed on YouTube. So, but I've searched high and low, and there's no Mitch Snow interviews on YouTube. So, I wanted to play it. It's not real long. I wanted to play it. Maybe give a little commentary. There's some pretty interesting stuff in there. Especially when it comes to our good friend Mr. Gary. He may have bit off more than what he could chew when he when he started digging in and going on this smear campaign on Mitch. But I don't know. Only time will tell. I'll be praying that it does, but we'll see about all that. All right, let me bring this thing in here so we can get started without further ado, and I'll pause it here and there, and we'll talk about it.
Immediately preceding the killing of Charlie Kirk. Well, since the moment that Mitch went public, there has been a relentless effort to paint him as a violent, crazy.
Oh, and hey, Adriana de Santiago, 33. Thanks for showing up and being here. Yeah, share it around. Like and subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, help me get this thing pushed out there so we can grow.
Crazy person or a liar. The people that I believe are responsible for Charlie Kirk's death want you to think that Mitch Snow is the bad guy. They want you to ignore the things that he's telling us. Instead, they want you to embrace the official narrative, chalk up the assassination to a shooting committed by Tyler Robinson, and just move on. And look, there's a name for this. It's not just a psyop. It's not just a cover-up. Yes, of course, it's both of those things simultaneously. But on top of that, what we're watching here is a DARVO operation, D-A-V-R-O. Look it up. Now, if you're a normal person and not a TPUSA Fed, you might not be too familiar with this term, but DARVO is short for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. It's a psychological warfare tactic that can be used for any number of reasons. Oftentimes, it's used by abusive romantic partners who don't even know what they're doing at the time has a name. But even more often, DARVO is used by governments and institutions who know exactly what they're doing. It's a psyop. It's an advanced psyop where first they deny everything, then they attack the person who's telling the truth about them, before then turning themselves into the victims and the truth teller into the villain, or as the acronym goes, the offender. Does that sound familiar? Well, it should, because that's exactly what Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA and everyone connected to the situation has done since questions started flying around, especially in the aftermath of my interview with Mitch Snow. And of course, Mitch's interview with Candace Owens. When Mitch went public, everything changed. And DARVO commenced. Mitch Snow is a person who's been called every name under the sun. He's been attacked relentlessly for daring to come out and say what he saw with his own eyes at the Candlewood Inn and Suites on Fort Huachuca in Cochise County, Arizona on September 8th and 9th, 2025, the days immediately preceding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And as we all know by now, what he saw, or more like who he saw, were people like Erica Kirk, Brian Harpole, and Cabot Phillips alongside U.S. military brass on a base that you're really not supposed to know anything about. And before we started discussing this, before we told the world about Fort Huachuca, most people had never even heard about it. It was an obscure place, and for a reason. We weren't supposed to know, but now we do. And we now know that Fort Huachuca isn't just some military outpost in the desert. It's the home of EMP warfare and psychological operations and political assassinations backed by the U.S. government and its handlers. And we also know that Erica Kirk's ties to Fort Huachuca go far beyond that fateful day in September. They go back years, decades. And they don't just ensnare herself, but her mother, Lori Francevy, and her father, Kent Francevy, as we have discussed. These people are military industrial complex royalty And they sunk their hooks into Charlie Kirk and they bled him dry, literally. But the rest of us, we're just regular people. And to people like the Francevies, we're peasants. We don't contract with the feds. We don't appear with CIA agents in videos about EMPs. We don't star in movies about political assassinations that just so happen to be filmed on Fort Huachuca like Erica Kirk did, where the role of the character that she's playing has her on a roof with a rifle acting as an assassin. And so because we are those people in the eyes of these people, we aren't supposed to know about the inner workings of the elites or the behind-the-scenes movements of our government and the people in charge of it. And that's exactly why we're now hearing directly from our verified sources within Turning Point USA that Erica Kirk and everyone around her are in such a panic. Because they thought that they had planned this flawless operation. They thought that they were hanging around a military base where they would never be seen as they put the finishing touches on Charlie Kirk's murder. That's what I believe. But they didn't account for the independent variable of a real American, a man like Mitch Snow, stumbling onto things that he saw and then telling the rest of us his story. But that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what he did. And it can be hard to imagine as a normal person, but
And they are scared shitless right now. They are freaking out.
there's a class of people out there at very high levels in this country who are working day in and day out against the rest of us. And if you push back against them,
I still love that when Gary from Paramount Tactical was interviewing Mitch's long lost estranged son, and when he said, "Yeah, the military police called me that day," the look on Gary's face and the it was great.
even if you think that you're a member of their club, they'll kill you. They'll take your life just like they did to Charlie Kirk. But we don't have the luxury of remaining silent. We don't have the luxury of getting up in the morning and going about our day-to-day lives, taking our kids to school, punching the clock at work before picking our kids up, dropping them off at practice, preparing dinner, going to sleep before waking up and doing it all over again with a totally absent mind. We don't have that luxury, not anymore. That version of America is gone. And we're going to have to fight to get it back. And central to that fight is getting the complete and total truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk, a man who in death was turned into an American martyr. And now, somebody else who's central to this fight is Mitch Snow, because the story of Mitch Snow is far from over. In fact, Mitch could be the catalyst for seeing everyone from Alex Jones to Gary Melton to Erica Kirk herself being dragged into a court of law and put on the stand to testify under oath. And why is this? Well, it's because Mitch, at this very moment, is still caught up in divorce proceedings that have stretched out for a whopping 10 years, a decade. We keep on hearing from these podcasters and influencers and self-proclaimed experts that Mitch Snow is divorced, but guess what? He's not. No, instead, he's been trying to get a divorce and custody of his son for a decade. And now, through their character assassination campaign and their anti-Mitch Darvo operation, members of Turning Point USA and internet influencers and members of the media have turned themselves into witnesses in Mitch's divorce proceedings. Alex Jones, for instance, falsely accused Mitch of attacking his wife with a hammer. Well, that never happened.
They just literally dropped themselves right dead in the middle of a messy divorce. And I got news for them. They could be subpoenaed, I believe. And that's just gonna be too funny if they end up having to go up in there like that. Discovery's a bitch too. So if they were taking some under the table cash from Turning Point, then everybody will soon know for sure about it. Everybody's got their suspicions, just like I do. But yeah, Discovery will tell the whole story.
But now, even though it was a completely false and fake claim, it could impact Mitch's standing with the court. It could impact his ability to finalize his divorce and gain custody of his son. On top of that, you have Gary Melton. He brought Mitch's estranged wife onto his show multiple times and claimed that she's the real victim in this situation, a victim of Mitch Snow, and that Candace Owens should give her the money that she raised to help support Mitch in his ongoing legal battles. This guy is directly inserting himself into these divorce proceedings, and he's doing it by way of extortion. And then you have people like Valhalla, who called Mitch a liar and a deadbeat dad. Well, guess what? He has provided us screenshots of his child support payments, and in fact, he received a $15,000 refund because he had overpaid his child support. So now Valhalla could be called in to testify. On top of that, the allegations of stolen valor, which turned out to be completely false and defamatory and slanderous. But so can people like Morgan Ariel and Ian Carroll and Coach Collins, who still debate whether or not Mitch is some kind of an abuser. This is a completely false narrative that has been set to destroy Mitch's credibility as it relates to Turning Point USA.
In all fairness, I got to say something about that. Coach Colin, he's been pretty good on this. I think he, like some people, really has said that he doesn't have an opinion, that he doesn't know, but he's definitely not been one to assume and put out there that he's an abuser.
And Fort Huachuca, while at the same time, it impacts this ongoing court battle that's related to his personal life. Kevin Kilgore even put himself into this whole thing, writing that he was talking to Mitch's ex-lovers and ex-friends, and that he was learning from them all about what a terrible person Mitch really is. So just add another name to the witness list. All of these people are directly interfering. All of them can be called in to testify, up to and including Cabot Phillips, Brian Harpole, and Erica Kirk.
And I bet you right now they will be, if nothing else, just for spite. But I can just almost guarantee you they'll get drugged right up in the middle of this. They inserted themselves.
Mitch Snow has been labeled a liar because he came out and truth about what he saw. These people, in response, have presented patently false alibis from the wrong day and with fake kids, trying to tell the rest of us that Mitch is lying. And those alibis, quite frankly, just aren't holding up. So bring them in. Put them under oath. Force them to testify and tell the truth and clear Mitch's name through their constant lies and their obvious Darvo campaign and the overzealous attacks of a bunch of terminally online influencers and commentators. These people have given the world a window through which we may be able to actually learn some of what the truth is about what's actually going on here. So to help us dive in even further, we're now joined once again here on the Stu Peters Show by Mitch Snow. Mitch, thanks a lot for coming back. Appreciate having you.
Thank you, Stu.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
So what you're telling me is off record that these people have now volunteered themselves as witnesses in the civil proceedings that you're involved with, what with the divorce dispute and the child custody stuff, because they've inserted themselves into this. And now there may be a judge saying, hey, I want to know what these people have to say about this. They're very public about these divorce proceedings.
Yeah, it's not just a judge. It's multiple attorneys have actually stepped up to say that this case has now gotten beyond their realm because of the witness list that has been volunteered into my divorce case.
So what could that mean? Is what I said correct? Could these people be compelled to go before a court rather than being asked by someone like myself or Candace Owens where they were on the 8th and 9th, and if they could provide an alibi, and they did for the wrong day and with some fake kids that don't belong to them, could they be compelled by a court to come in and under oath provide real evidence and alibis?
Yeah, that's where it's at. Is these people have now involved themselves into my custody and divorce dispute, and it is we're legally obligated to ask them why. Also, providing false information in what they were doing, that also is prejudicing court or a jury. So we get to ask them why they did that as well. And this list includes it includes everybody who basically trailed money to go ahead and make this happen over the last month.
So would we then have access to financial records, exactly who it was that was paid as it relates to the campaign?
All Gary Melton had to do was shut the fuck up and not try to go on this campaign against Candace. He could have just not watched her show. He could have completely ignored her and done his own thing. But instead, to get to Candace, he had to go try to dig up, dirt on this guy, on Mitch, and go talk to all his exes and his, estranged kid that he's only met once, twist the whole thing around, put it out there for the world to see, and, bet the farm on it. And now, like I said, he has inserted himself right in the middle of a messy divorce. And yeah, I mean, what Mitch is saying is true. They do have the right to ask why they inserted themselves.
Paying to assassinate your character?
Yes.
And then would we have evidence about whether or not what you said was in fact true about your first person eyewitness account on Fort Huachuca on the 8th and 9th of September last year?
They'd be getting asked just about everything. The laws in the state of Washington, as far as discovery go, are considered to be some of the most abusive and extensive, meaning they can go into any witness's life, their friends, their peers, their work, their finances, for as long as an attorney wants to dig.
So is this underway? I mean, has the court asked about this? Are attorneys preparing to subpoena these people?
And think about it. If they get called in as witnesses, they get questioned as to, well, first, did you make these statements? Yeah, we made the statements, unless they want to perjure themselves. why did you make these statements? Well, and in that whole process of answering why, this whole Fort Huachuca thing is going to come up. Then the next obvious question is going to be, well, since this was of such importance for you to go on this whole line, bashing campaign, since this was that important, then I guess we need to dig into that to see why it was so important that you would be willing to go on this whole tirade line and, getting with all these exes and stuff like that, for a smear campaign. So the whole thing could get drug into there, and we may get more answers on the whole Fort Huachuca thing just because Gary's dumbass, decided to insert himself, and others too, but Gary's my favorite.
Specifically the ones that you saw, and others, the people who, work to trash your name all over the internet? Are they working actively to put together subpoenas to compel these people to come before the court and explain themselves, why they volunteered themselves as witnesses in this civil case?
We're interviewing multiple attorneys right now out of Seattle.
Are you having a problem, by the way? I mean, I remember you saying that you told Candace, and I know that you told me, but I remember you repeatedly saying that, look, I mean, this does nothing to help to benefit, your mission to get your son back and to finalize a divorce that you've been seeking for a decade. It does nothing but actually detract from that. And it is, detrimental to those efforts, and it negatively impacts your quest to complete all of these things. But you saw what you saw, and you were where you were, and you said what you said, and you can't help that these people happen to be there. I got to believe that you just want to put this behind you, but now, in fact, these people are dragging. I mean, make sense of all of that for us.
Well, the question is why.
And before he answers that, by the way, since they've been, and maybe there's one in the mail, but since several others have been getting them, where is his cease and desist letter? Where's Stu Peters' cease and desist letter? It's funny, out of the cease and desist letters that have been sent out and received, I have not yet seen Fort Huachuca or Mitch Snow mentioned in any of them. Seems like the financials are about the only thing they're super concerned with. But obviously there has to be some truth to what they're saying, or they could easily claim that it's defamatory.
I mean, okay, so I went to Fort Huachuca to get records. I'm there for a legitimate reason. I saw what I saw. I reported what I saw. It's been interesting. The question now is, why did Erica Kirk, Andrew Colvett, pay money to go ahead to, Valhalla, was it Gary Melton at Paramount, and Alex Jones and others to go ahead and smear me, platform my exes that had nothing to do with anything that was at Fort Huachuca or what I saw. So why did they choose to involve themselves into my divorce and custody dispute?
Especially Alex Jones. Like, that's the one that I just absolutely don't get. Out of everybody in this world, he better than anybody knows about defamation and lawfare and being dragged through the mud. Like, I cannot understand. The money must be really good. I mean, I've heard that he's going to be touring around with TPUSA now. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But Alex Jones, I mean, come on.
Why did they choose to do that? That is, they sort of screwed themselves.
They sort of screwed themselves.
Well, I mean, this is probably one of the biggest blessings that a case like this could have. But what does this signal to other people that were on that base that day? I mean, certainly you weren't the only one that witnessed these people or has knowledge of their presence on that base. And so there are other witnesses to this who probably haven't come forward because there would be some sort of a military order. You're a veteran. Let me ask you, you were on Fort Huachuca. You've been involved with, some of these bases or meetings as, part of your experience with the military. What would you expect that the fallout, based on your experience, would have been once you uttered the name Fort Huachuca on the Candace Owens podcast and then came on this show to double down on what you said that you saw on September 8th and 9th? What would have happened administratively on Fort Huachuca?
I expect that there's been a lot of, as a matter of fact, we've actually seen videos on other podcasts. There's been a lot of activity there. They've had to it's probably extensive, the protocols that they've had to go through. I really feel bad for Captain Neff being mentioned in this. I'm sure he's been talked to multiple times, unfortunately. The fact is the truth, and there's not even soldiers are restricted from coming forth from what they see or experience, especially the TPUSA members. I think the smear attack upon me was an intimidation, and I think they want the internet to believe that it worked. It didn't. They haven't affected us one bit. I'm not shaking my story one bit. The evidence that Candace Owens has is not going to change. Their stories, they seem to change on a daily basis down there. That's unfortunate for them. And I would say anybody that has any other information, come on forward. These people are paper tigers. For instance, Gary Melton, who was threatening that he was going to have me charged with crimes or something like that. It turns out they were actually investigating him, and they were letting him indict himself. These people that have been calling into the police station, they're not investigating me. They're investigating them for extortion and intimidation, witness intimidation.
Yeah, witness tampering.
Witness tampering.
I got to back that up just a little bit. We need to hear that again. I think that's pretty crazy.
To multiple times, unfortunately. The fact is the truth, and there's not even soldiers are restricted from coming forth from what they see or experience, especially the TPUSA members. I think the smear attack upon me was an intimidation, and I think they want the internet to believe that it worked. It didn't. They haven't affected us one bit. I'm not shaking my story one bit. The evidence that Candace Owens has is not going to change. Their stories, they seem to change on a daily basis down there. That's unfortunate for them. And I would say anybody that has any other information, come on forward. These people are paper tigers. For instance, Gary Melton, who was threatening that he was going to have me charged with crimes or something like that. It turns out they were actually investigating him.
That was the whole stolen valor thing. Oh, yeah. This is a classic case of stolen valor. This guy probably wasn't even in the military. Oh, yeah, well, he was in the military. No way he was a Green Beret. Does he look like a Green Beret? No, it's got to be stolen valor. Well, turns out he was a Green Beret. But did you just catch that? Turns out they were investigating him.
They were letting him indict himself. These people that have been calling into the police station, they're not investigating me. They're investigating them for extortion and intimidation, witness intimidation.
Yeah, witness tampering.
Witness tampering. And we've been in contact with federal authorities over this, just to make sure that we were on the right side of things. And I mean, we were laughing it off before, but after contacting federal authorities are laughing about this too, and they're going after him.
So,
ooh. Obviously, we'll have to see how this all shakes out, but sound like he just put Gary Melton on notice.
explain that. Explain how this became a criminal investigation into the likes of Gary Melton and Valhalla and others.
The moment that they went after the money, which that Candace Owens was trying to raise for me, once they started demanding that they get paid that money while doing a smear campaign, while committing to this intimidation, that's the definition of extortion. And they recorded it on their own shows. You just can't get rid of this.
Extortion is leveraging, some sort of a perceived punishment or negative or adverse reaction if you don't comply with a demand. In other words, you're going to lose your money, you're going to lose your life, you're going to lose.
No wonder old Gary never wanted to really talk about the legal actions that were en route, that will be coming soon. He always used to say there was some that was coming, but he never would say what was, would never give any details about it. Come to find out, it may have very well been him that he was talking about.
A family member will kill your daughter.
That is just amazing.
These types of things, or will sue you into oblivion, or we will have you criminally investigated. You're facing jail time. People get scared. And so then they succumb to the pressure. And a lot of times they just comply with the extortionist and then everybody goes about their day. But in this case, federal investigators said to you, well, hold on a second. It's not so cut and dry here. This is textbook extortion. And now these people are under criminal investigation. So as well as being under criminal investigation, these people also are likely to be compelled to appear as a witness in your divorce case, at which point they will have to answer a whole lot of questions under Washington State's rigorous examination process or discovery process, I guess. Is that basically what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll have to answer why they involved themselves. What was their motivation? Why did they pay to make that happen? Who did they pay? How did they contact them? What kind of money did they pay it with? Where did the money come?
It'd be one thing and it'd be bad enough if they just started talking a bunch of shit. But the minute that, again, Gary Melton's the one I keep bringing up. As far as I know, he's the only one that talked to both of them. But the minute he took and put Mitch Snow, once he talked to Mitch Snow, and obviously that conversation got leaked and put out there for everybody. If you haven't heard that, go back a few episodes and we went through it start to finish. But the minute he did that and then turned around and of all people in the world went and talked to and had this man's, current but estranged wife, when he had her on his show, I mean, that he literally talked to the two parties involved in this divorce, and everything they discussed were all, related to the divorce. I mean, he literally airdropped himself right in the middle of this thing. And it is, I got a feeling, going to bite him square in the ass.
From what was the motivation behind coming after me or platforming these women? What was the motivation in lying about statements of fact? I mean, so many statements of fact. It's just, that's quite surprising. But yeah, we're looking for an attorney. Apparently, it's going to have to be the right attorney, obviously. But we'll be finishing this up. And
you mean it wouldn't be a Florida attorney that practices some sort of tax law that's connected to Jeffrey Epstein? You wouldn't go after an attorney like that? This is what Erica Kirk is doing. She's sending legal notices in Tyler Robinson's case. And we just got done discussing this. But yes, attorney selection is very, very important. You want to find somebody who actually specializes in this type of law, first of all, and somebody who's willing and who has the backbone or the balls, the testicular fortitude to take on a case like this, knowing what the implications are.
And again, I ask, look at Mitch Snow. Does he come across as a serial liar? Does he come across as somebody that is trying to get some attention? Does he come across, I mean, really? Like, I'm sorry, maybe he's got me fooled. The man seems to be pretty credible, and he definitely doesn't have any nerves. If he is a liar, he's the best. He's one of the best I've ever seen.
Your child custody dispute, unfortunately, and your divorce proceedings, unfortunately for you and for the people around you and the people that you love and care about, and probably for your son, unfortunately, has become central to the investigation into who actually murdered and plotted to and carried out and covered up the death of Charlie Kirk. I mean, that is probably not something that was on your bingo card, I would imagine.
No, none of this was. This wasn't my intent. I just came forward with the truth and why they involved themselves into everything else. That's well,
they did it for money. They did it because they were being paid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They did it because people like Gary Melton and Valhalla, I am convinced, I don't have any proof of this, but I'm convinced that these people are placed into their positions. You know, they just kind of pop up one day. They're there. They're kind of in the background. They're talking about ballistics. They're talking about two-way stuff. They're talking about, tactical operator,
I don't know. I still like Valhalla. I'm not too sure about him now. Gary, yeah, I just about would guarantee it. He seems like the type to me.
They're doing these things, but they are placed there and then they're activated. And I think that very clearly these people, I mean, they rose to national awareness at least because they started dragging out estranged sons that you met one time and a blurred out or blacked out blank screen of a person that they claim is this woman that you are in the process of divorcing and also the mother of your son who you're trying to fight for. And they didn't put her on the screen, I would speculate, because her eyes look a whole lot like the eyes that you saw on Fort Huachuca that belonged to Erica Kirk days later.
More proof that he was actually there and he saw Erica.
Later you saw that and you were like, wait a minute, I know those eyes. So, I mean, it's all very obvious what's happening here. These people were paid to run campaign against you to assassinate your character.
Hold on. For anybody that hasn't seen, we'll show you what he's talking about. Let's see here. Okay. Here is a picture of Miss Erica Kirk's eyes on top and Mitch Snow's estranged wife on the bottom. And just to clarify, from the get-go, Mitch has said that he recognized Erica by her eyes. That they're one in a million. You know, he saw those eyes, and he knows the eyes that he saw that day, that evening were hers, because there's just not too many people that have those eyes, and that his wife is one of them. So anyway, here it is. I mean, to me, that's eerily similar. Really, really, really similar. Crazy. So when he says that, he recognizes those eyes, I mean, he's bound to have look. I mean, he's looked into basically that same set of eyes every single day for years. They are so close. One Night Fury, when did they do this interview? I want to say this was Monday evening, I believe was when they did this interview. I could be mistaken on that. It hasn't been very long ago. I believe it was Monday evening.
To discredit the things that you're saying, because there's really nothing else that can be done. And as far as the panic on the base is concerned, I would imagine that whoever's the commander on that base probably got a phone call the second that you uttered the words Fort Huachuca on the Candace Owens podcast.
I would imagine so, yeah. I would imagine there's a lot of cans that have been kicked and a lot of people doing push-ups.
There's a lot of people that are probably in some hot water for how in the hell did this guy end up on this base when we knew that these people were going to be here?
I know not many people have seen this interview, and probably nobody that's on YouTube only. You can find it on X. You can see it on Rumble. And so when I saw the interview, I figured first thing I do is bring it to everybody on YouTube. So, yeah, anything Stu Peters you're not going to find on YouTube. So I've been keeping an eye out. And like I said, I think this happened Monday.
And then there's probably been a lot of, if you say a word, you are ordered to not say a word. There's probably been new orders that have come out specifically regarding this. I mean, I would imagine there are probably national security implications. They don't know what you know, but they know that you were there and they know who you saw there, because they also too can verify who it was that was there that you say that you saw and who Candace Owens has evidence of you seeing. They know that you know, and they know that the rest of us were not supposed to know, and now we know.
Yeah. I mean, again, this has been, the cover up is always what gets people in trouble. Had they not made such a big deal about me wanting to get records, things wouldn't have been recorded.
Absolutely.
The way they were.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Things wouldn't have happened the way they did. I wouldn't have remembered probably things as well as I had to. They sort of brought it upon themselves, and I'm sure people are going over policies now, wondering how they shot themselves in the foot so badly.
When would you say that we would expect to see some action on that front as far as criminal investigations and subpoenas moving forward to get these people into court? And by the way, do you need...
I wonder if Gary likes ketchup on foot or on shoe or maybe mustard, because he has literally stuck his foot in his mouth this time, I can promise you.
Us to reach out to some of our attorney contacts, or do you want to make a plea to or an appeal to attorneys that are out there that may be willing to...
Multiple attorneys have already said that this case has gotten too complicated and too, it'd be too big for them to be able to handle in the state. There's not many firms that would be able to take it. So absolutely, if there's somebody, please contact us. We're interviewing for them.
I mean, look, in the attorney's defense here, and I not want to take up for attorneys, but just as a guy who, if I were an attorney and I was looking at this, and I'm used to trying DUI cases or just, run-of-the-mill divorce cases, family court stuff. And, Mitch Snow comes across my desk and I'm taking a look at this. Yeah. This is a little bit something different, I guess you could say. So if there's an attorney out there that's a fan of the Stu Peters show or has heard what Mitch Snow has said and what he's going through, and you want to become more familiar with this case by considering, becoming part of this representation, I will just tell you that the implications of this case, for you, it's about your son. For you, it is 100% about your son. And I believe that.
And I'm just going, I want to cut in here real quick and I want to highlight this, bring this up again one more time. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that they've put themselves in the middle of this and involved themselves with this at all. But with them dropping themselves right into the middle of these divorce proceedings, basically at the end of the day, what Mitch is claiming or is going to claim is that, Gary, the TPUSA folks, Alex Jones, and on down the list, that they have defamed him, and in so doing have prejudiced or complicated or inhibited, whatever word you want to use, his divorce proceedings. So if they get drug into a courtroom, it's going to be for defamation. And with defamation, obviously there's going to be discovery on both sides. Well, with defamation, you have to prove that they knew what they were saying was false. What I'm getting at is there's going to be a lot of discovery on either side, and they're going to end up digging into the story that Mitch told, as it was the reason for all the defamation that has been, coming from the Alex Jones and Gary Meltons of the world. So, they were going on these internet tirades to shut him up, shut this down, and there's a good chance they literally blew this thing right open. Because when it comes to discovery, if they start subpoenaing people from that base, the whole damn story. You got to figure. Brian Harpo was alleged to be there. He could very well get a subpoena. I can't wait to see if this really goes anywhere, and if it does, how far, but I have a feeling it will.
But for the rest of the world, your fight for your son is also a fight that I think a lot of people are really interested in suddenly. So I'm believing God that there will be some sort of an attorney that comes through and says, hey, you know what? I want to contact. And by the way, if they want to contact you, do you want to provide contact information, or do you want them to come through me at stu@stupeters.com?
They can contact me they can contact you. We totally trust you, Stu. Or they can, justice for Nate at pm.me. I don't know if I want to advertise my phone number over.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. But justice, the number 4, Nate at pm.me. Justice for Nate at pm.me. That's Mitch Snow's email address. You're going to get a whole lot of emails, brother. I'm just warning you right now. Now that that's out there, you're going to get a whole lot of emails. Probably ones that you don't want, but hopefully the diamond in the rough, the one that you do want. And also, if you feel more comfortable reaching out to me, and I can make the connection here, that's fine for whatever reason. Stu@stupeters.com. But I think that direct, communication with Mitch is probably the best idea. Anyway, all right. Well, this has all become very interesting, and when I considered all this and we had spoken, and I asked you, could this be what happens here? You said, yeah, I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to bring you on and kind of explain all of that. And I'm glad that I did, because it gets real murky and convoluted. So thank you. Is there anything else that you want to add?
The court corruption, stuff like that goes on. We've been trying to fight it on our own with my own case. That's what brought me to Fort Huachuca. We work with Jessica Saxton from Justice. I'd like to give a shout out to her. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes with a lot of kids that are being separated from their protective parents these days. It's not just me. It's not just, anybody. And it's usually under false allegations of domestic violence. We'd like to give them a little shout out. They need all the support they can, and they're trying to go across the country to remove some of these corrupt judges.
Amen to that. There it is. A well-deserved shout out, I guess. I have not looked into the organization. Check it out for themselves. And I want to give a shout out to the people that are coming forward. Thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I want to keep these people, like at the top of our mind too, and encourage more people, because we have now multiple, probably a total of 7 sources that are still currently inside of Turning Point working and describing the atmosphere there after Mitch made his appearance on this program. From the outside, we said, wow, they've been really quiet recently. Well, on the inside, there is an unbelievable amount of panic going on. These people are desperate.
I don't know if y'all saw that episode of Candace where she was talking about her inside people there. They thought they had her pinned. They got the one person, they were asking her all kinds of questions. They thought she was the one that leaked all over some screenshots of Candace's timeline that she had on her laptop. So they drug her in there, and of course they fired her, and then fired like every single person that she knew or had anything to do with, like 30 or 40 people. Like, they are seriously freaking out over this. Crazy.
They hire these people on 1-year contracts, but they make them sign 10-year NDAs. And they are now forcing new NDAs to be signed in the wake of his appearance on this show. There's a lot more on that coming tomorrow as we go through what our sources are telling us that, by the way, are there. They're inside the walls of Turning Point. And I don't know what Tyler Boyer and Andrew Kovic and Erica Kirk and Pastor Rob McCoy and Mike McCoy and Blake Neff, I don't know what they thought. I don't know if they thought that just, like all of these young men and women would just be like, yeah, okay, well, we're cool with all of this. Well, they're seeing firsthand what's going on here. And interestingly enough, I will just leave you with this. On the day that Charlie Kirk was killed, there were a lot of people that worked for Turning Point that were at their first day at work. So a lot of these 1-year turnovers, they were gone. And this was the beginning of the new tour. And to mark the beginning of the new tour, I'm talking about photographers that Charlie Kirk had no idea who these people were, and he was trying to introduce themselves, himself to them. And they were like, yeah, he was like, I don't even know who you are. Yeah, these people that surrounded Charlie that day, other than the mainstays that we have been focused on, all of these other people, for the most part, were on their first day. They didn't know about the stuff that was being dragged into all of this. They didn't know about the inner workings of Turning Point. Well, there's an obvious reason for that, because then after the fact, they can't say a whole lot. They don't have a whole lot to offer about the inner workings of the past or the history or the Doge efforts or any of the previous behavior to compare it to current behavior. But there is a panic going on inside of Turning Point right now, and we'll report on what our sources are telling us as we continue tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow.
And speaking of that, that'll probably be the next thing I bring to everybody. I have not had a chance to sit down and watch that whole thing, but I do definitely plan on it, and I'm going to try to bring that either tomorrow or Friday. I think that would be very, very interesting. And again, I know it's not going to be on YouTube, so I'll bring that to all the YouTube people and do a little commentary on that too.
At 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, God bless you.
All right. Well, that wasn't too painfully long. It's getting late, so I'm going to get out of here pretty quick. Before I do get out of here, though, for anybody, yes, absolutely, a huge soap opera. That's about it. That's about all it was. Yep, a very, very complicated one. And for anybody that still wants to throw the grieving widow card out there, I got 2 pictures. I got to show these. I'm not even going to say anything about them. I'm just going to show them. And that's all I've got. I'm not going to say anything more. I wanted to show those. All right, guys. It was good. It was fun. Y'all have a good night. I will make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click that notification bell, and I'll be going live, like I said, if not tomorrow night, Friday night. Plan on bringing that episode where he goes through what all is being said from the insiders there at Turning Point. I think that'd be pretty interesting. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here, and I will see y'all guys in a day or two, and hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's night.